All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you with us for this great webinar, this really collaborative webinar, which is exciting for us. So, with us today, we have Juria Martin and Brandis Belser. Juria is a Executive Director of Drug-Free Communities of Dallas County and a substance abuse prevention consultant headquartered in Selma, Alabama. And Brandis is from a small town in Iowa. She says, no, I didn't grow corn or live on a farm. So they work together as coalition leader and project officer. So we're very excited to have them come together with us today and talk about the collaboration that you can do with your project officers. Jury, if you want to go to the next slide. Really quickly, just some quick housekeeping items as we're moving forward. National Leadership Forum is coming up. Our early bird registration deadline is December 13th. So make sure to go to the website, cadca.org. /forum 2022 and see all the information. We'll be releasing our training calendar here in the next couple of weeks, so you can see all of the great sessions that we have planned for the conference this year. We're very excited to be back in person, planning for a back in person event at the Gaylord National Harbor in Maryland. So you can go and you can find all of that information there. If you have any questions as you're moving through the webinar, make sure to use the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen, and using the chat box to just share your experiences and move through. So really quickly before we move on, like I said, let me read a quick bio for Juria and Brandis. So as I said, Juria is an executive director for Drug-Free Communities of Dallas County in Selma, Alabama. As a consultant, Juria works with a variety of coalitions and organizations, including the United States Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, with CADCA and with the Opioid Response Network. Brandis has a master's in education from Ashford University and worked as a speech therapy assistant for special needs children and adults. She's married with 5 children and recently became an empty nester. So congratulations on that milestone. And Juria and Brandis have been working together for the last year. When CDC took over as the coordinator for the Drug-Free Communities program. And so with that, I will turn it over to them so that they can go through and they can walk us through their collaborations.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for that warm introduction, and welcome everyone. Now it's time for the main event. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention as I give my project officer an honorable mention. She loves her family and her dog. She has a heart for service. But sometimes when I'm around her, I can be a bit nervous.
Wait a minute, Juria. No need to be nervous. I want everyone to know. Project officers, we're just here to help. We want to see you glow and grow. Our position, it may be a little bit intimidating, but I promise you we're not evil. If you just engage us closely, collaborate with us, you'll see we're just ordinary people.
And so, speaking of ordinary people, our discussion today will talk about how our project officers, is something that we all have as brand leaders, are simply ordinary people. But why is this discussion important? Well, let me tell you. So let me introduce myself as Big Bad Juria. And I would call myself that because in a poll with most of my close family members and relatives, I had them list my top 5 attributes. And this is what they said about me. They said Juria is bold, Juria is courageous, she's articulate, she's passionate, she's a leader. And so I began to just think about my past and even boost my own confidence. I mean, I was 17 years old in the picture with Hillary Clinton and former President Bill Clinton, 17 years old, speaking to audiences of tens of thousands of people as queen of the Selma Bridge Crossing Jubilee. As a matter of fact, I have a fear of snakes. But you definitely wouldn't think that because back on my 21st birthday, I decided to overcome that fear by holding and even saying cheese for the camera, a 150-pound python to overcome that fear of snakes. When I was 7 years old, I begged my parents to buy me an ATV. I wanted what we call a four-wheeler. I thought that they were the coolest things in the world, but my parents would not get it for me. So therefore, I went to my cool uncle and I pleaded my case, and he ended up buying me my first four-wheeler at 7 years old. And I've been riding ever since. So this is big, bad Sharia. Not a lot scares me. Not a lot can intimidate me. But guys, let me tell you, just about a month and a half ago, we had to reapply. We're in the process of reapplying for both our CARA opioid grant and also our DFC grant. And so we had to make several calls. And one call I remember in particular was with our project officer. This was our budget discussion. And so it was with our project officer and also our grant management specialist. And so leading up to the meeting, I'm excited. I mean, our organization does great work. Who wouldn't want to be excited to brag about your coalition and review your budget and the decisions that you've made together with your coalition? But guys, the minute I clicked accept to that Zoom link, the minute we were on the call and I was talking to my grant management specialist, I was talking even with Brandis, even though I knew her as my project officer, my heart began to pound. My palms were sweaty. And for some reason, I was so nervous. And so I thought that this was just ironically hilarious. Big bad Sharia, not scared of nothing, but a call, a grant discussion, a budget discussion, with the CDC project officers and grant management specialists actually, had me second guessing, myself, second guessing the good work that we actually do as a coalition, even though again, at that time, I really did know Brandis. So I began to have that conversation with my other peers who lead coalitions around the nation. And they began to tell me the exact same thing, that they are also, a bit nervous about contacting and establishing a valid relationship with their project officers. And so we're here today to definitely stop that. But I want you guys to be completely honest. We're going to do a poll. Brittany, she's going to pull up that poll. And we just want to know, how comfortable are you? Seriously, how comfortable are you with collaborating with your project officer? Is this something that you haven't done it at all? Or you're moderately, comfortable where you'll email them every now and then? Or do you just have them on speed dial? You guys are always in discussion and always collaborating.
Be honest, we want to know. We want to know. This is going to help us out a lot, guys.
I'll give you guys a second.
Got about 50% in.
Okay.
Because we want you to be comfortable.
It is anonymous, guys, so don't worry. We're not gonna run it back to your project officer.
All right, y'all, we're ready. We should have maybe about 70%. We have it in. All right, so we have 34% saying not at all, about 46% saying that you're moderately comfortable, and actually 20%, about 8 folks, actually have their project officer on speed dial. So good.
Both those are my coalitions that said that.
I'm sure they are. But so let's take a moment to look at why some of my peers and myself, decided that, they are kind of, intimidated about reaching out to their project officer. The first reason was that money is at stake. and this is not just, a couple $100. Oftentimes it's tens of thousands of dollars. And even sometimes with the DFC grants, hundreds of thousands of dollars that's at stake. And so you become a bit nervous, when participating in grant budget discussions. Another reason is because we don't want to come across as being inadequate, that they've entrusted this funding, this grant funding to our coalition and to our organization. We don't want to in turn ask them, well, what do we do with it? Or what programs, should we do? We don't want to come across as being inadequate. We want to come across as having it all together. Another reason that was listed is because they were just unsure of the project officers' roles, so they weren't completely sure of, how to adequately, collaborate with their project officer. And so we want to hear from you. What are some reasons that you haven't really reached out for those who, who answered no and moderately, so what are some reasons that you haven't reached out to your to your project officer thus far? You can
go ahead
and chat.
some of those in the chat. Yeah, just so we know. You don't have to be afraid. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to, because we can see you in the chat. But we just want to see, some of the reasons why I might not reach out.
Let's see.
Not had the opportunity to meet in person. That's okay. We're all via Zoom.
So Dana said we've had several changes in the year. Somebody shared it would be moving too fast. So Susan actually asked, when is it appropriate to reach out?
Well, we're going to get to that. We'll cover it.
Somebody said unsure of what the role is and what to bring to them.
Right.
There was another one. Lack of engagement, lack of caring, or feeling like they've been blown off from previous project officers. Somebody said just get busy and don't think about it. Have reached out and gotten quick responses. Somebody said, but speed dial is another level.
I'm so glad you guys are on this call, this webinar today, because I think after this, a lot of you guys are going to be more comfortable and be able to reach out.
Somebody said, I think my project officer changed and I'm not sure who my officer is. Not sure of the project officer's role. Yeah.
Right. So these are all great answers, guys, and we will definitely work to make sure every question that you guys ask is answered by the end of our presentation. So definitely look forward. We will have a Q&A at the end of our presentation where we will really, dig in and engage with you guys. But first, let me talk about my own experience as a coalition leader in historic Selma, Alabama. We are a DFC year 5. We just reapplied for funding, and so now I guess we'll be year 6, year 5. And then we're also our CARA grant recipient, and so we're year 1 of that. But we had our first site visit for our DFC grant back in 2018. And this was the time where, our project officer at that time, who was Sean Cook, from SAMHSA, when SAMHSA was actually overseeing the DFC grant, he was coming to historic Selma to visit with our coalition. And I tell you, you think I was nervous on a call with project officers and our grant management specialists. I was really, I would say borderline stressed, to know that our project officer was coming, to our hometown. But instead of taking the approach as a coalition leader, I put on my minister hat. I'm actually a licensed minister. I have a master's of divinity from Princeton, but I put on my minister hat. And my ministry, what I learned at Princeton from a professor there, was leading through listening and loving. And so I took that approach, knowing that this was a young African-American man, coming to historic Selma. And so as I thought about our agenda for the day, I intentionally, made moments to where, we not only, reviewed our paperwork, and we had that time, and believe me, we did do that, but I also was intentional about making sure he met every member of our coalition, from our littlest coalition member you see, pictured here to the right, to all of our 12 sector, representatives, came and gave him a rousing welcome. Our local soul food restaurant catered it and donated soul food meals, so he was able to get some good Southern cooking. And he was even able to meet with our law enforcement team. You'll see here, this is the sheriff holding the DFC briefcase, along with his drug task force, who works closely with us, but also joined us as we allow Sean to take a tour of Selma. And so I was able to get him into the museums and even cross the historic Edmund Pettus Bridge with Sean before he left. And so it was this experience that allowed me to see this project officer, this federal, project officer who worked for SAMHSA, as just an ordinary person. As I saw his face light up as he had an opportunity to cross the bridge, and afterwards he turned to me and was just like, I wasn't going to say anything, but Drea, this experience was just so meaningful, because I didn't want to ask, but one thing I really wanted to do, in Selma, and it's really been a dream of mine, is cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And so from there, we were able to really build a solid working relationship. Anytime something went on, if we were having a cool event with our youth coalition, who are always doing viral music videos, we do all type of community events, but every time we received their new data, every time we, had a new cool event, I would email it to Sean. And so it came to a point to where he would actually asked me for material that he could use when he made presentations to his peers. And it went from that to even asking our coalition to come and present at SAMHSA's Prevention Day. And we've done that actually every year since 2018. And so again, it all started with just collaboration, actually meeting him in person. I think someone said that that's what really solidified that business relationship, and being able to open up and just see that this is an ordinary person who has a heart for service, a heart for people, just like I do. And so that was my experience with Sean. So now let's talk about my experience with Brandis, who has just been, so awesome to work with as we made the transition from SAMHSA to CDC. One thing I can say about Brandis is that I actually did not have to reach out to her first. She actually reached out to me, and I'm sure her other coalitions who are on the call today, can attest to the fact that she is always on top of everything. Excuse me. But one thing I love about Brandis.
Choked up. It's okay.
If Ashley, can you just discuss a little bit about yourself, Brandis, as I grab a bottle of water?
I appreciate Drea so much. Yeah, we've really clicked on this program together, and as she was saying, you guys, I was reading the chat, and this is awesome work that everyone is doing. And as Brittany mentioned earlier, as a project officer, this is a lot of work. And just to have some people say that there's no time to make the connection, and some of them hadn't had time to reach out to their project officers, please do make that time. Figure out who your project officer is, because at the end of the day, you guys are doing incredible work, and we want to help you do that work. You should figure out who your project officer is, make that connection, because we want you to be successful as much as you want to be successful. So, you should know who your project officer is. You okay, Drea?
Right. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It kind of got choked up and swallowed my spit. But thank you for taking over there. But I guess it is something to get choked up about when just thinking about how cool it has been to work with Brandis. These are kind of three words that I chose that really describe my relationship with Brandis, my working relationship with Brandis. And the first would be kind. What I can say about Brandis is that I didn't have to reach out to her first. She has what she calls her a monthly newsletter. And so I first, met her with this cool, newsletter that she had all types of cool images and even a joke that she ends with. And so it just kind of introduced her to her grantees as just this fun loving, cool person. So I was so excited to have an opportunity to get to know her. And so as our relationship, just kind of grew over this past year. I'm always sending her, some kind of the same things that I sent Sean, when our coalition has something cool going on, or if I have any bright ideas, I'm always shooting that to Brandis. And so what I can say, and the reason I do say that she's kind, is because even when, she challenges me, even when she, says, well, Drew, I think you can push it a little bit further. She does it in such a kind and encouraging way. And I really appreciate that about her. The second would be considerate. And I think that she's considerate for the simple fact that she's always sending us new opportunities. If anything comes up, an opportunity to serve on a panel or even apply for other grants and other things that may be fitting for our coalition, she's very considerate. She's always sending that via email, just those opportunities that our coalition could possibly have. And the last thing is invested. I really feel like she is just as invested in our coalition as our other coalition members. For example, every time we speak, it's not about you and your coalition. She's saying we and ours, and talking about how we can strengthen everything and how we as a coalition can grow, with her being a part of the team. And so these have been just some of my most favorite parts about working with Brandis. And I even have seen how she's been pivotal in other coalitions besides mine, because she actually brought me in along with a team of other coalition leaders who were successful to actually mentor and work with a coalition who were having some challenges. And so we're all on a Zoom call, just being able to pour into this young man who was having challenges as coalition leaders. And it was all because of Brandis, because she was kind, considerate, and invested in the growth and in the success of every coalition. And so that's what's been so cool about working with Brandis. And now this piece is just the icing on the cake, y'all. Victoria, she is one of the highest ranking DFC officials, working with the ONDCP, literally out of the executive office of the president. I had an opportunity to work with Victoria this time last year, actually, when our youth coalition was recognized by First Lady Trump's Be Best campaign. And so you'll see here, this was an actual letter that I received from the First Lady's office, signed by her, along with, some other cool stuff that they sent over. But when I had a chance to work with Victoria, I could tell she was such a cool person. And this just came across through emails. And so after I did my first CATCA presentation on Webinar Wednesday back in June, I said, well, I wanted to get advice and feedback from all people that I really, admired and respected. So, Brandis gave me feedback. I sent it to a few other of my peers that I was, that I really admired. But I also sent the presentation to Victoria, thinking that, it's going to be a long shot, that I may hear back from her maybe 2 weeks from now. But in 24 hours, guys, less than 24 hours, I received the most, beautiful, encouraging assessment of my work probably to date. And this was coming literally, out of the executive office of the White House. And so it was just beautiful to see that, even Victoria with the ONDCP is invested in our work. And I just say that to say that, guys, we are in this together. President Biden released in a statement last month that in 2020, more than 93,000 people died from an overdose. 93,000 people died from an overdose. Guys, we are in this together. And as leaders of our coalitions, we have to know and we have to trust that our grant administrators, our senior grant members, they are an important part of our team. And if we're going to win this fight, against the opioid epidemic, and if we really have to come together and use all of our resources. And I'll just submit to you today that whether you have a foundation grant, a state grant, or DFC or CARE grant, to just know that we are in this together. cadcacares, the CDC cares, SAMHSA cares, we all care. And just trust and believe that your project officers are just ordinary people. I turn it over to you, Brandis, your ordinary self.
Thank you very much, Drea. That was great. You set the bar high. You guys, the work that you guys do is very important. And as project officers, we are just ordinary people, and we may not get it right 100% all the time. We're not perfect, and we do make mistakes, and we do want to work with you and do the best that we can. And we may not be able to contact you guys all the time, every day, as much as we can, but we do know that we are trying. Even I have not probably made as much contact with all of you guys, all of my coalitions as I want to. And I'm definitely that I am trying to do that as well. Just be patient and just reach out to us too. We're trying to reach out to you, but please contact us. Communication is both, and like I said, this is very important work, and we all want to be successful in what we're doing. With that said, we're all ordinary people. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, just so that you can get to know me a little bit more. Where I want to be right now, on the beach. The beach is my happy place. It's my favorite place in the world. I want to retire there. I want to live there forever. I want to wake up to the sunrise. I want to go to bed to the sunset. I go there every year, so many times a year. I probably want to go there next week. I love it. Who doesn't love the beach? I mean, come on, it's beautiful. The sounds, the scenery, everything, the food. I mean, I love it. Another thing that I'm working on right now is I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I'm not as big bad as Drea. I'm more of the quiet, laid back type of person, but I do want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I remember the first time I was on a motorcycle was when I was 8 years old. My sister's husband rode one. He rode me around the bike on the back of his motorcycle. And I remember wanting to learn how to ride ever since then. My husband rides motorcycles. I've been on the back of his, the wind through your hair, driving down to the beach one time. It just feels so good and freeing on the back. And I want to be able to do that on my own bike one day. And so I'm taking lessons. Yes, I've fallen down. I've sprained ankles. It hurts really bad. It's scary, but I'm not going to give up. That's just one thing I want to do. I'm going to accomplish that goal one day. I don't know when, but I'm not going to give up. Next slide. My best friend in the world is my little dog Chewy. He's right there on the couch looking like he's trying to get away from me. But I love him to death. That's my COVID puppy. I got him when he was 8 weeks old. He's upstairs right now trying to come down here and play with me. I'll get him in a second. And this is my brothers, and a picture of my brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of 8 children. I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers, and we are extremely close. I am all about family. We talk every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to my siblings. We try to get together every day, once a year all together, and we did this year at my brother's house. Even though I'm the youngest of 8, I always say I'm the boss of 7. So that's where I get my managerial skills from. I love my family to death. Next slide. Yes, and I celebrate Epilepsy Awareness Month. That's my favorite holiday. Awareness Month is in November. I have 2 sons, 2 boys. You'll see on the next slide. My oldest son, Brandon, he has epilepsy. That is very important to me. He came out of nowhere when he was 12 years old. And so that's something dear and near to my heart. We do the epilepsy walk every year. That's in August, actually around his birthday. So if you see if you're in Georgia and you see me driving around, I have that bumper sticker right there on my car. And my favorite holiday is, we're in that month, October, and it's Halloween. I have my house all decorated. I don't have any kids in my house. I don't go trick or treating. I do it for the little kids in the neighborhood. They love coming to my house every year. I've had parents come up and ask if they can take pictures in front of my house with their kids. I've even had parents ask if they can get candy. They come with their own little bags and trick or treat. It's so fun. It's just something I love to do. I don't know. It's just, I'll probably do it until I don't have any energy to decorate anymore, but I'll post pictures. I'll send pictures in my newsletter of my house for you guys, so you can just see how extra I am about Halloween and the holiday. Next slide. Last but not least, these are the pictures of my boys. My oldest one, Brandon, on the right, he's in Kentucky, and my son, Anthony, he's here. These are my boys, my two little best friends, and I love them to death. Thank you, guys. This is all about me. And as you all know, the point of this webinar is so that you guys can understand what we as project officers do for you, why we are here. Yes, this work is important, and the work that we do to help you do this, the administrative part, it can feel like it's a burden. It can feel like, ugh, here we go again. This is what we got to do. And we know we do understand everything, the administrative, the redirections, all the stuff that feels like it's annoying. And we know you guys just want to get out there in the community and do the fun stuff, but we have to make sure that you guys remain in compliance. So some of the things that we as project officers, along with the grants management specialists and all the other leadership in the government, do is monitor. We work with you on monitoring your grants, and that can include the progress reports, making sure or monitoring, like staying in compliance. For example, when you're out there spending your money, we want to make sure you're not spending your money on things that you are not allowed to do. So that can include like your restrictions. If you're looking into your notice of award, you will notice in the terms and conditions, there are a section called restrictions. Those are things you cannot spend your money on. So we're monitoring you along with the grants management specialist to make sure that you won't get in trouble for spending your money on things you are not supposed to do. So when you ask us these questions, like, can we buy this? Can we buy that? Those are just some of the questions that you can come to myself or your grants management specialist to make sure that you can do. Or, we want to make sure you're staying in compliance with your progress reports or the statutory eligibility requirements, and just staying in line with the rules and everything of the grant. Even though we're giving you this money, there's still rules that you have to abide by. So we want to just monitor and keep you on track. Some of the other things that we want to make sure that you guys are staying in line is that we review. Every year, you have to submit a progress report twice a year, or your continuation application, your budgets, your application, your action plans, and everything that goes along with reporting. So we have to review all the reports that you have to submit with your during your grant requirements. So if you ever have a question for us, like what do we need to report for our progress reports? What do we need to put in our continuation applications? Those are the type of questions that you can come to us and ask. We would rather you ask us tons of questions than submit something wrong. Because if you submit something wrong, we're going to have to send it back to you and you're going to have to resubmit it. So come and ask those questions so that you can get it right the first time. Like, for example, every year, you're going to have to submit a continuation application. We'll send you the guidance. You read through that guidance thoroughly. We'll ask us questions on anything that you don't understand, because if you submit it wrong, you may get it. There may be a chance that you get it rejected. we don't want you to reject it. We want to be able to give you the money when you need it so that you can get back out in the community and do what you have to do for the youth. So for your budgets, we review your budgets. We go through those through a fine tooth comb, because we don't want anybody to get in trouble for doing something that you're not supposed to do. We don't want to get in trouble either. So just like we're reviewing it so that you stay in compliance, we're reviewing it so we are covered too. So those are the type of things that, we're looking at when we're reviewing your progress reports, action plans, just to making sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do. Like your data management, you saying you're going to do an evaluation, we just want to make sure you're doing all of those things. And again, we're here to support you. We are the ones that are here for your programmatic support of your grant. If you're going out there doing drug take backs or working with different pharmacists or setting up different things in the community, we are here for that. We also, just like Julia mentioned, the newsletter I do, we can do some extra things for you. We can build bridges between coalitions, and you can reach out to other coalitions. If you say, hey, Brandis, do you know any coalitions that are working on this? Or do you know somebody that I can call that can give me some tips on mental health or, anything? And I can say, oh, sure, I have a great coalition who has a wonderful program. I can help bring those two together. We can help you with that. I can even help you find some additional funding that you may want to do to help implement a program on ACEs or something. So those are the kinds of things that your project officer can help you with. So we're not just here to be a burden to you. We don't want to be a burden to you. We want to help you. We want to see you successfully grow your program. And we are bigger than you think we are. So with that being said, I hope that today that we could ease some of the fears. We hope that you reach out to your project officer. We hope that I can make you more comfortable with reaching out to your project officer. And I hope that you enjoyed this webinar, and that after this, chat, that somebody calls me and says, I never reached out to you before, but I'm going to now. I'm going to go call my project officer after this webinar is over and ask 40 questions. I don't know. I just hope that we were able to do something today that makes your program going forward a lot easier for you. Next slide. Now it's time for some trivia. I hope you guys were paying attention to everything that I just said. I hope I wasn't talking too fast, or did I put anybody to sleep out there? Are you guys ready? Drea, you ready?
We're ready. Let's go. Ready? First questions. And so guys, remember, you're going to answer in our chat. So we want everybody to give your best answer for each question.
All right. Question number 1. I'll go first. Who do you contact for fiscal related questions? Put your answer in the chat.
I appreciate that Michael Mumper said my wife, but
no project officers on the call can answer the questions. No cheating. All righty.
Let me get a few more. I see a few more coming in. Okay.
All right. The answer is grants management specialist.
All right. So a few of you guys got that right. Actually, a lot of you guys got that right. So congratulations. Great job. So now for question number 2. If you are unsure of what activities to implement, who do you call? And let me give you a hint. It's not Ghostbusters. All right. Charity says project officer. We got Nikki saying project officer. Everybody's saying project officer, PO. And that PO don't stand for parole officer.
Oh, I like how somebody named Elisa. They
But
must call their project. They must have their project officer on speed dial.
PO, great. And I love that Beverly, she's mentioned it a few times that she's also asked other coalition leaders that have been doing the work for 10 plus years. So that's very good. That's a very good answer, Beverly. Yeah, PO. All right, great.
All right. Next question. Can you ask your fellow coalitions for help with ideas?
All right, we got yes.
Yeah, that's collaboration. That's exactly what we want you to do.
Of course.
Can I make a call out here, Julia, for the CADCA community as well? So the CADCA community is a great place if you're a CADCA member where you can do this as well. So it's a member benefit, but it's a great discussion board. We get lots of people going in there asking for resources. If somebody else has created it, ideas for different ways that people have addressed certain issues. So, we've talked about talking, with other coalition leaders as well. That's another great place where you can reach those people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm always telling people about the CADCA community.
Right. And remember, it's a membership perk. So if you don't have your CADCA membership, guys, go ahead and register now. And also it gives you perks, I think, when you're registering for a forum and also mid-year. And again, forum is coming up. So make sure you guys are ready. All right. So now's my turn for question number 4. What is Brandis's favorite holiday? And I'm saying Halloween.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all got it.
Paying attention. All right. Last question. What did Juria do to overcome her fear of snakes?
Something I would
never.
Place a python around her neck, held 150-pound python, held the python on her 21st birthday. Yeah, took a picture with one for her B-Day. So yeah, that was a bold move, guys. But I was just, tired of being. I actually went on vacation for my 20th birthday to Florida, and I went outside. We were just about, me and my cousins about to go to the beach. We walked out our front door, and there was a snake, maybe not even bigger than my hand, and maybe as thick as my finger, and we all refused to go outside. we were like, no, not going. The beach we'll have to wait. We'll have to call somebody. We got to call the Terminator, exterminator, somebody has to come, get this snake before we leave. So I was like, no. He said, welcome to Florida. So I guess that happens a lot. But so I was like, Drea, this is silly. You have to overcome it. And so that same trip, actually, we went back to Florida, and there was a place that had the opportunity to hold a snake and take a picture with it. And I said, hey, I'm gonna do it. And I even said cheese for the camera. So I was able to overcome that fear of snakes. All right, so that ends our trivia, and now we'll get to our questions. I know you guys have a bunch, and so we'll let Brittany handle that chat, or however you guys want to do that Q&A. But we're open now for questions.
And please make sure you complete that evaluation in the chat.
Yeah. So I think one question that I had was, there were a couple of people who said, they weren't quite sure who their project officer was. So if they don't know or they're unsure, where can they go to find out who their project officer is?
You can find out who your project officer is by looking at your notice of award. It's in the first page. It'll say your contacts. And then on the last page of your notice of award, it'll have your contacts on there as well. It'll have your GMS and your project officer name. You can also find it in DFC Me when you have access in there, and you can also find it in Grant Solutions.
Excellent. And that'll update if for some reason their project officer changed since their letter of notification went out then?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Tracy asked, question from a project officer, what can we do to better help recipients?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so she asked, what can we do to better help recipients? So I think this is more for Juria as a
Oh,
coalition. Yeah.
all right. I thought Brandon was gonna offer that advice, but so Tracy, just be yourself. I mean, and actually, for me, I love when you show when my project officer shows her his or her human side, that ordinary people, side. Again, the way that I knew that Brandis was a cool project officer was by her newsletter, that had images of her family, but also that information, important information we needed as a coalition. But again, it showed the human side of her. So, a lot of times like CDC can be intimidating. Just seeing that pop up, we're always seeing it on the news and COVID, and it's like, so CDC is official. So you being, a CDC or a SAMHSA or, even foundation, grants that are given hundreds of thousands of dollars, just as a project officer overseeing, a grant, it's just important for us to know that you are human too. And that also, you have that heart for service. I saw that someone mentioned that they prefer going to coalition leaders because some of our new CDC project officers aren't as versed in that DFC grant because it just started a year ago. But I would also say that we have to remember that although they're not DFC experts, they are public health experts. And so they do, you guys do have a lot of, awesome advice that you can share and, just from your own experiences and share your own wisdom and knowledge. So that's what I definitely encourage you to do, Tracy, to continue sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and just try to do that in the most ordinary personish, way possible.
And so Janie asked, how many coalitions does each project officer oversee?
Each project officer, we have about I would say between maybe 50 to 65 coalitions each. So there's a lot. So that's why we try to touch each one, and then it might take a minute, but yeah, we have a lot. We have a large portfolio.
Yeah, that is a lot of coalitions. Are they all but are they all in the same general area?
Some may be and some may not be.
Okay.
They're spread out. We try to keep them close to each other, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah. And so I wanted to share, this was a comment that Helen Hernandez left, and she said, Juria, thanks for being a great example of the project officer and coalition relationship. Project officers are here to support and encourage your coalitions, not here to get you, which is absolutely true.
That is.
So, and then she also said, thanks, Brandis. We are very proud to be working with CDC. Thank you, Helen.
We are proud to be working with you all too.
So Virgil asked, will the POs attend CADCA forum?
Oh, now that's an idea. I would advocate for that. What do you think?
So we're not sure yet. We're still on mission critical only travel, so we have not been given the green light yet.
Well, if we have any pull on this call, and I see Helen Hernandez, is on this call. So girl, if you got the pull, you should use it, because I think it would be a tremendous opportunity, if we could meet, as DFC and CARE coalitions with our project officer, at that event, at forum or at mid-year, if we just had an opportunity to, to actually put a face with a name. I think that would be a really tremendous opportunity if we could have that type of breakout session. So it may not happen at forum, but if we could do mid-year or, at some point in the future, I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, I would love to go. Might have to just make it a personal trip. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people that would be excited to see their project officers for mid-year. Absolutely.
So cool. It would be.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool.
I don't see any other questions showing up in either the Q&A box or the chat box right now. So I will put the evaluation link in the chat box again. But also, so immediately following this, if you are a CADCA member, we are going to have a, Drea and Brandis are going to join us in the CADCA community for about an hour to just kind of chat a little bit more. And this is a great opportunity to not only just chat with them, but also chat with other coalition leaders, as we had mentioned earlier when we were talking about the community, chat with other CADCA members and how they work with their project officers, and you can kind of brainstorm a little bit, get Brandis's feedback, get Jurea's feedback, and how they've collaborated. Maybe bring up some of your own collaborations that you might want to try or you might want to work on. But that's a great opportunity, and so we'll put the link for the community in the chat box as well, if anyone is interested in joining.
Brittany, where will the recording be?
Yeah, so the recording will be on the CADCA Webinar Wednesday page. So in the same area where you went to find all the information about all the previous webinars, the ones that are upcoming, the recording will be linked on that page once it goes out.
Okay.
It'll come up later in the week. It takes us a little bit of time because we post them to YouTube, and YouTube likes to slowly upload things.
Okay.
All right, well, we will see everyone over at the CADCA community, and we hope that, this was a helpful webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over. If not, we hope to see you at the National Leadership Forum or at one of our upcoming webinars in December. We'll be doing one on sustainability with CADCA trainer Christina Clark. So look for more information on that as it's coming around, and we will see everybody soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.